Facing challenges and overcoming setbacks is part of doing business. Whether you have the expertise to survive them or not could mean the difference between success or failure. Welcome to We Are Women, featuring revealing conversations that provide invaluable insights into the success secrets of female masterminds. A must listen for every entrepreneurial woman. Now here's your host, Janeen Vosper.
Hi, it's Janeen Vosper here, and welcome to the We Are Women podcast. Today, I have a special treat. I've got Rebecca Whitman here. Now, Rebecca is a success coach. Let me start all that again. I've been at meetings all morning, so let me just... Hi, it's Janeen Vosper here, and welcome to this episode of the We Are Women podcast. I have a special treat today. I have Rebecca Whitman. Now, Rebecca is a success mentor, author, and life coach who helps women go from burned out to balanced, beautiful, and abundant by getting all their 7 pillars of success: spirituality, fitness, emotion, romance, mental, social, and finance, all together in alignment. In addition to graduating from Princeton University, Rebecca has studied In addition to graduating from Princeton University, Rebecca has studied with some of the great spiritual leaders of our time, like Marianne Williamson, Abraham Hicks, and Michael Beckwith, just to name a few. In her workshops and coaching, Rebecca combines metaphysical teachings, 12-step recovery, and business savvy to help people get extraordinary results. Her philosophy divides life into 7 pillars of abundance. Rebecca helps women achieve that balance within those 7 areas so that they can experience more fun and freedom in their lives, which is what we all want to do. Currently, Rebecca hosts the Balanced, Beautiful, Abundant podcast and has been interviewed herself by TV and radio programs such as Good Morning LA, LA Land, and Aware Show with Lisa Garr, and has shared virtual stages. They're probably spiritual stages as well, Rebecca, with thought leaders such as Grant Cardone, Jack Canfield, and Les Brown. Wow, there's some big names there, Rebecca. And I think people may have guessed, with being from Good Morning LA and LA Land, that you are in LA. Welcome.
Yes, I'm in LA. It's so nice to be here, Janeen.
We're different on different days and different times and different seasons, but guess what? It all works out really well. That's a really in-depth bio that I'm sure there's going to be so many things within that we're going to be able to talk about. But I want to know about Rebecca and why you do that. I know we always have a why story and where it's come from and what moved you into doing what you're doing.
Wow, that's a great question. So I started off thinking it was more important to look good than to feel good. So I did everything perfectly. I went to school, I got good grades, I graduated from Princeton, and I started my path. I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, and they told me that I had to start off in the mailroom, and I was like, but I just graduated from Princeton. So then I started my path on all commission sales, and I was able to make a living at that. I still do for 25 plus years. And while I was in commission sales, I also pursued my dream of being an actress. And the acting jobs just didn't come in as frequently as I would have liked. So I had a lot of free time to study with great metaphysical teachers like the ones mentioned in my bio, Abraham Hicks and Marianne Williamson and Michael Beckwith. And what I did was I matched those 2 areas together in my coaching. And my big turning point in my life was when my dad was dying. And he said, Rebecca, why don't you write about something? And I said, I don't know what to write about. He's like, you'll figure it out, Rebecca. I don't care if it's a blog, a magazine, or whatever it is, an essay, just write. So, Janeen, I was sitting in my financial planner's office in workout clothes, and he said, why don't you write a book about why you always come here in workout clothes, yet your financial portfolio is expanding, and teach other women what you do? So that was the title of my book, How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. And that's where I divide life into 7 pillars of abundance. And I've been coaching and empowering women to go from burned out to balanced, beautiful and abundant using these 7 pillars. When you get all 7 pillars in alignment, you can manifest anything you want.
And I mean, that's an important factor, those 7 points. I teach people, one of my presentations I do is the myth of the, I'm trying to think of the word now, but I've lost what I was going to say, but the myth of having a balanced life, because that we tend to think that we have to assign a certain amount of time to that, certain amount of time to that, certain amount of time to that, certain amount of time to that. And if we don't, then we have got it all wrong. Whereas we know when you've lived a fair while that is an absolute myth. But the priorities of making sure that there are other components in your life, and as you age and change and the circumstances change, those components of priority change too, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, the number one priority is spirituality, because if you have a connection to God, your higher power, whatever that is to you, nature, then you can go out and create anything else that you want in life. So I actually have the 7 pillars in order of importance to me, and it starts with spirituality. The second one is fitness, and it goes on from there.
Mm. Yes, because spirituality, it's not just that connection to God, universe, whatever that may be for someone. It's when you have that, you have a connection to self as well, don't you?
Yes, because you have a higher self. So you
Yeah.
can think from your higher self, what is best for you? What do you need to do next to take your next step of growth and evolution on your path? So having that connection with both the universe and your higher self is the most important thing.
Mm. And I think a lot of people miss that in their busy daily life, where they're trying to achieve possibly our focus is on the financial, as opposed to I haven't spoken to anyone that's set it out like that, with that as that priority, but I can see how that would be because of the sense of self. Because when you've got that self-belief.
Faith, yeah, having faith in yourself and having faith that things are working out for you is important on the path to success. And a lot of people, Janine, think you have to get your finances in order first. They're like, if I can just make a ton of money, then I'll hire a personal trainer, then I'll have the perfect body, then I'll date, then I'll find my mate, then I'll be happy and have time to meditate, and then we'll vacation, and then we'll do everything else. Where I'm saying it's the total opposite. I'm saying the financial is the last piece of the puzzle to come into place.
And that would probably naturally just occur when the others are in line.
Yes, it occurs naturally, and the money magnetizes to you when you are in alignment and your energy's right and you're healthy and spiritual and you have beautiful friends around you and you're in a romance with the love of your life. Yeah, the money comes in too.
Mm. And so part of that then it is part of that all self-care and self-awareness. I'm very much into that. There's lots of analogies. The same one pops up all the time. You're on the airplane and they tell you to put on your oxygen mask first and then help other people. But even though we hear that and it's used regularly and people tell you to look after yourself first, I don't see a lot of people doing that self-care. I mean, how do we prioritize that self-care and that self-love for us as individuals?
Yeah, it's a great question. Especially women, we're taught from a young age that it's selfish to prioritize yourself. So we're actually brought up to not do self care and to put everybody else's needs above our own until we're completely depleted and exhausted. So how do we do it? We prioritize our the first 2 pillars. The first one is spirituality. So it's important that we have a morning practice and we set the tone for our day. we get tuned in, tapped in, and turned on, and we do a morning practice every single day. It could be many things. It could be yoga, it could be a gratitude list, it could be lighting a candle and saying a prayer, reading from spiritual literature. And then the next thing is to plan your day around your workout, body before business. So if you plan your day around your morning ritual and your exercise, those are the two most important things for self-care. Everything else kind of just falls along around those two things.
I love that, body before business. That it's so easy to jump in and just start doing business. I know I woke early this morning. It was 4 a.m. and I laid there a bit and I thought, I'm wide awake now. I'm just getting up. And I've got my yoga mat set out and I didn't go and do that. I came straight into the office because I had, and I think that's what woke me up. I had this list that I had these things going through that I had to get done before I went out to this breakfast meeting this morning, and they're all spinning around. So I came into the office to do that. And I now need to go and do my stretches and everything at some time today.
Yeah, even if you can do 10 minutes, there's like a lot of great yoga videos on YouTube that are only 10 minutes. Like, it's amazing, Janeen, how just 10 minutes of stretching just totally like recalibrates your body.
Yes, yeah. I'm running a retreat in March. Well, this interview will go to air. It was in March, okay, and it's combining it with a yoga teacher. We're doing the meditation, so it's an East meets West type of experience, and just every day we'll be starting with silent meditation and silent yoga, and I'm so looking forward to that because it places that priority on there. And the other morning I woke at 2 a.m. and I always sleep perfectly well, but it's just been the last week. So what I did was I went out and did stretches instead of anything else, I thought this will be really productive time doing this because it feels so good, and then was able to go back to sleep after that. So it didn't stimulate me. It was a nice place to be, and the concentration on the movement. It was and my husband said, well, why did you go to exercise? And I said, it's not quite exercise, but it was really nice, and it helped me go back to sleep after that.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of your listeners are very focused on business, but it's amazing while you're doing yoga or exercising, you do get downloads, you do get epiphanies and revelations of, oh, I need to go call this person, or this is the next step that I need to take in my business. It's kind of like when you just get some distance from it and you can move your body, your blood, and everything gets going to your brain, it gives you a lot more clarity. One of my favorite phrases is, move a muscle, change a thought.
Okay, move a muscle, change a thought. Yeah, and that's on a whole lot of levels. So that one is that download, as you said, and the other one could be that and this is probably where you're going with it as well, is that when you are moving the body, you can't really be in a negative space. So you're sort of moving into that more positive thought space as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all emotions are either coming from fear or love. So if you're feeling fear-based emotions like anxiety, sadness, frustration, depression, irritation, and you move your body, you're gonna switch into more positive thoughts. So absolutely.
Yeah. And that goes into your third step then, which is that emotion, isn't it?
Yeah. Emotions. That's absolutely right. Having your emotions be centered, especially in these times. You know, we were chatting. I know the pandemic isn't as bad in your part of the world, but I'm in LA. We're still pretty much on lockdown, and people are getting really, really emotionally triggered. You know, divorce rates are sky high, alcoholism, even suicide, and finding ways to stay emotionally centered and calm when there's so many unknown variables happening in the world, that's so important.
It is definitely important. And I know we were only in lockdown for a very short period of time where I'm based. And during that, I felt that and I've mentioned this on other podcasts, I had to be in control. And to me, it was a declutter. I just had every day a different declutter thing. And that that was fabulous for me because it suited my controlling, addressed my control and suited my personality. So it was great. But controlling or managing those emotions, is there any, what sort of things do you suggest to people to be able to do or manage the state when they are feeling anxious and they're feeling fearful, particularly fearful at this time?
Well, to me, when you're thinking about the past, you're in depression and you're regretting what has happened. You're using would have, could have, and should have to beat yourself up. And then when you're in fear and anxiety, you're in the future. So the key is to bring your mind back to the present. How you do that is through all five senses. You know, what am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I hearing? What am I touching? Really study things. Like if you're taking a walk, look at all the different shades of green in the grass and in the leaves, and really take in the clouds in the sky and smell the flowers and really listen to people. And that takes you out of the future into the present moment. And then take a deep breath, because taking a deep breath, if you're feeling a lot of anxiety and fear, it takes you, again, the breath will bring you back to the present moment. And then instead of worrying about the future, which we don't have control over, especially in a pandemic, just what is the next thing? Like, what is the next thing that I need to do right now to get my day going? Do I need to take a shower? Do I need to return a phone call? Do I need to check my emails? Just do the next thing instead of getting so far ahead of yourself with everything that you need to do.
Yeah, that's great advice. Being in that moment and being really present. When we're so caught up with the have to do's, then we tend to forget to do that. I remember I went on a hike a few years ago now where was I? In Thailand, and we booked this 3-day hike, and there was only about 6 of us on it and the guide, but the guide was determined to get to a destination, absolutely determined to get to a destination. And so it was quite fast, this hike through the jungle, and there's a waterfall, hang on, and the next minute they're all off, kept moving, and I just wanted to be present and observe the things around us. And it really made, I thought it was a great analogy for how we are in life. We've got this destination that we want to get to, and we've got a time limit or a goal or something to set there, but we forget to look at the waterfalls or the amazing jungle or the little animals or birds or something along the way, whatever that is, not necessarily the nature, but the things that we appreciate along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. The joy is in the journey. So eventually, the ultimate destination where we're all going is we're all going to die. So we might as well enjoy every day that we're here, because every day is a gift and we don't want to miss the beauty of the moment.
No. And I know I'm over 60, and I know that health is the priority. Everything that I used to be a runner and everything that we used to do, by the time you get to that age, you go, right, I notice all of that now, that the body is saying it probably wasn't a good idea to do that. But still being fit and healthy and well and all of that is so important. Whatever it looks like to each individual is just, it's a lifelong thing. I remember I taught aerobics for about 10 years, and I remember my brother, when I was studying it, my brother-in-law said, okay, so what happens when you finish doing that? And it was, I don't think I'm going to finish doing exercise. I just think it's going to be what I do forever, whatever it looks like. It looks very different now than when I was a runner, but it's something that all of us being conscious of, I think, isn't it? Whatever it looks like to you, but the health, you can't get back.
Yeah, it's health. Health is wealth. It's our number one resource. We can have all the money in the world, and if we're in a hospital, tied up to an oxygen tube, we're not able to enjoy it, then it means nothing. So,
Mm.
absolutely, health is wealth, and health is our number one resource and priority. and just find something that's fun. It's so funny, Janine, because I used to teach aerobics in the 80s too. It was fun.
All the lovely leotards and tights and yeah.
Olivia Newton-John, Let's Get Physical from Australia. That was the
Absolutely.
craze. But yeah, now I do different things now, and I'm sure it's going to evolve as I get older. So it's just find something that's fun. Always walking is always great exercise too.
Yes, and walking in nature in particular, because it feels energizing just to be out there. Something I read of yours, and I want to ask it. You had a statement that said, "How does rejection sculpt the soul?" And it was a bit of a, I wonder what you mean by that, and what do you mean by that? Probably, it's a good question.
Yeah, so I moved to LA to become an actress, and I went on a lot of auditions, and I did not get the parts that I want. I had some bit parts on some big shows like Friends, CSI, and 24, but I never was able to like make a career out of it. And it humbled me because when I moved to LA, I just thought I was going to get everything that I wanted, just like I did before I moved here, and I didn't. So I like to say that God loves me humble because when I'm humble, I can learn things. And when I get everything I want, my ego is totally satisfied, and then my ego's like, okay, now what do I want? Now what do I want? Now what do I want? And I was humbled. I didn't get something that I really, really wanted, and I had to learn, why I didn't get it. Maybe it wasn't my path. Maybe that's not where my true dharma or talent was going to serve the most people. And I also had a lot of time, like I said, to reflect on what it really means to be a human being. And it means a lot more than just getting the applause and the accolades of being an actress. So that's how it sculpted my soul.
Two things. I'm going to have to go looking to past episodes of Friends and CSI 24 to see if I can spot you. That's great. But I understand that now, and I think both of us work in sales, or you're working in sales, and we're coaching people in sales as well. And I see that as something that that's something to be expected. When you've got a business and you're in sales, you will find you have rejections. Not everyone wants your product or doesn't want your product at that particular time. And what that does, it stops a lot of people, doesn't it? Rather than saying, okay, so what did I learn from that? And what can I do differently next time, as opposed to holding on to that sense of, because rejection is very much, then a lot of people equate it to their self-worth.
Yes. Yes, I was just listening to an Anthony Robbins podcast, and he was saying that rejection is the fertilizer from which success grows.
Oh, I like that. He comes up with some great one-liners, doesn't he? It's
good. So rejection is a big part of being successful, and especially in sales. I mean, it's a big part of it. A lot of people aren't willing to go through the rejection to get the sale, or to learn how to sell, and it's all part of it. And sometimes I still take it personally, but it's never personal. It's always about the other person.
Yes, absolutely. Or you just haven't done it as well as you can possibly do it, and then you learn how to do it better. And until you do it and do it and do it and do it, it's like anything else. If you're playing a sport, you've got to continually do it until you get better at it. It's tone that muscle up.
It's the 10,000 hour rule. If you can do something for 10,000 hours, you can be great at it.
Sorry, go on.
I don't even think about the rejection and sales as personal, because I believe in myself as a salesperson, and I believe in the product that I sell. And it's just like, okay, I did my best, and it's not for them.
No, and that's one of the things when I talk about with people is to really believe and own what you do, and especially when it's a service as opposed more so than when it's a product, because if you don't own it and believe it, then how are others going to do that as well? Yeah. So your next component, we've covered spirituality, fitness, emotion, romance. Now, I like this romance one. I have been married over 40 years, so there's, it's a different romance than possibly there is when it's something starting out. But, so from dating right through, what is there about romance that's particularly so important to have it as a pillar for having that abundant life?
Well, there's no such thing as neutral energy. Someone's either lifting you up or they're dragging you down. So the person who is the closest to you within 30 feet physically affects your energy field through quantum physics. So you want to be with someone who is uplifting, that believes in you, that supports your goals and dreams. If somebody is constantly putting you down or nagging or criticizing you, it's going to be a lot harder. I used to be married to someone like that, and I used to say that it was like I was running the marathon of life, and instead of saying, "You can do it," he was like, "You look fat in those shorts," or, "Here, I'm going to throw a banana on the ground for you to trip over and then laugh." Like, you don't want someone like that. You want someone cheering you on.
Absolutely. And I think, out of all of the important things that, learn through marriage is exactly that. It's having that support, but it's not, the support is fabulous, but the reverse is so important. Not having that dejector in your life, not having that negative energy is, that would just be incredibly draining. And of course, then it's part of your soul is missing if somebody's doing that, aren't they? Isn't it?
It's definitely soul sucking, but I'm excited to have you on my podcast, Janeen, and find out your secret to a 40-year marriage.
Yes, I go out and do my own thing. I think that works really well as well. But that's part of it. Everything is knowing what what you both enjoy, and when you come together, you've got some conversation as well, because you're not constantly with each other. But anyway, that's a different story we'll talk about.
Love the space. Definitely love the space. Giving the person enough space to live their life.
Yes. And I love being around enthusiastic, encouraging people. So hence why I do a lot of networking and spending time with people like that, because it definitely lifts you up. I know the other day there was something going on, and I was just feeling really down, and I had to work with clients that night. And as soon as I got off the call from them, I was totally changed. I was in my zone doing my thing, and so it was the whole mood, everything lifted totally, and that's an important thing, isn't it? To find your thing, that's your thing, and then and to do it. And when you can be in it, then you can't be not moving forward or not positive, because you're in that zone, doing that space.
Yeah, I mean, you want to find things that you would do whether you got paid or not. And then if you get paid, that's gravy. But yeah, when you're doing your thing, you're in the zone, and it brings you joy.
And that comes a little bit to the next pillar, doesn't it? Is mental.
Yes. So mental, in the way I define it, is constantly learning and growing. So your podcast listeners are learning and growing by listening to your show. There's so much content out there on YouTube. There's so many books on Amazon and Audible. We get to be constantly growing. And what I love about this high-tech information age that we're in is I'm constantly listening to positive things. I love Abraham Hicks. I love Anthony Robbins. I love listening to, great books on Audible. I'm constantly bombarding my brain and my subconscious with positive things to listen to, and I'm mentally growing. Mentally could also be learning a new skill. It could be learning a new language, learning how to cook, learning how to play an instrument. It's challenging your mind.
And during the pandemic, it's given us that opportunity to think about doing things like that, hasn't it? Because we've been so used to being rushing, and everything is busy, and it really was someone just shut the gate on that. at some stage last year and then take stock and go, okay, I've always wanted to learn the guitar or speak Spanish or whatever that might look like.
Yes, I like the joke that people say, God thought everyone was bad, so he sent us all to our rooms.
I have not heard that. I love that. It's really good. I've got a 2-year-old living here with me at the moment, so that works out really well.
I thought I heard something.
Yeah, they just arrived home from daycare, so that's all good. I'm going to write that down. I've been taking some notes, but I do like. I'm going to find that joke and put that out there.
Okay.
That's not the only point I've got out of this interview. I just love it. So the next part is social, being social.
Yeah, so I love that you're organizing a retreat. That's part of social. It's finding your tribe. When we were cavemen and cavewomen, we would go around the fire and we would find community and share stories. And now technology has isolated everyone. So we're finding our tribe online. We're finding Facebook groups and meetups and Zoom meetings. And it's so important to find people that have similar goals and values that can hold you high and support you and cheer you on as you go for your goals and dreams. And it's almost impossible to achieve your goals and dreams if you're with a social group that says, "Oh, things never work out. Why try? If I didn't have any luck, it would be bad luck. My job stinks." It makes it a lot harder to be around negative people than it is around positive people. So I encourage your listeners to find community, find their tribe, either in person or online.
That is so important to. I love the description of the tribe, and it's those people that lift you up. I run mastermind groups for women, but I also have a mastermind group that I've been part of for a few years, and that ability to lift each other up, and we meet online once a month, and to, we talk about the things that's going on in our business, but it's the main reason we get online is to do exactly that. It is vitally important to have that there and that support, and often I find sometimes the extended family isn't necessarily the best people for that, is it? Because especially when you're business and they worry about you doing something and whether it's the right thing for you, whereas you get the right group of friends and associates, and that makes a lot of difference.
They worry about you, and a lot of times they don't believe in you because they've seen you do really silly, stupid things. And they're like, "Oh, now she thinks she's going to be like this superstar entrepreneur." Well, I knew her, when she could barely pass math class, or when she was puking behind the dumpster after the party. So, they don't really think of you as being a superstar that you can be. So it's great to be around other people who can see the higher version of you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful description of that. And our final pillar is what we talked about, where most people start. It's that finance.
Yes, so financial is important because money gives you freedom. And I define freedom as the ability to do what you want, when you want, where you want, and with who you want. So you want to live life free. You don't want to work for time because dollars for hours is a limited paradigm. You want to find a way where you can have unlimited income, and you also want to have multiple income streams. So Grant Cardone says we should all have 7 income streams. So it's important to be open-minded when other income opportunities come across your desk. And yeah, I really believe in unlimited financial abundance, and we all deserve the fun and the freedom that brings. But I also don't think we're not here just to work for money and then retire when we're 65 and oh, we spent our whole life working for money. We want to have all these 7 areas of alignment, and the money gives you more freedom to have a wonderful vacation, to make time in your schedule to work out, to to have a daily practice. So they're all intertwined, they're all spokes on the same wheel, but I think money is the last thing to click into place.
To be able to do what you want when you want. I mean, that's a goal for us. But I know I've got family members that are set financially, but they don't have their health. So they can't do what they want to do when they want to do it. And they're really not as positive as they could be because they don't have their health. And it makes a big difference to the way that they're living life, but they have all this money which doesn't make a difference to them.
Yeah, there are no U-Hauls following Hertz. So no matter how much money you make, you can't take it with you to the other side of the veil.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well work on your health and your fun and your social and your romance and all the other pillars while you're here. And I love this quote by Queen Victoria, and it was her last sentence on her deathbed. And she said, "I would give up my entire queendom, for just one more day on planet Earth." So you could be the Queen of England and have all the money on the world, but if you're on your deathbed, you're on your deathbed. So time is precious, and just to enjoy ourselves while we're here is so important.
I know when I was GM of a business for about 20 years, and I was the only person in the business that had no long service or no holidays left. And in Australia, we get 4 weeks holiday a year, plus we get quite a few months for every 10 years. And I had nothing left because I just take holidays. It was that was why I was working. And every year I'd start my screensaver when I was at work. My screensaver would be the holiday that I was planning. And once that holiday was booked, I would put the next screensaver up, and it might have been the following year, but it was the reason I'm here is to have fun, and to put in the hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were the GM. You were, the head honcho, and you were having fun, and there were other people who probably didn't use their vacations for 10 years. So
correct. And there were definitely people there, and we're trying to encourage them to do it, because in a business it's very expensive when you've got all these long-serving people that are hanging on to their holidays and having to pay them out. But they just didn't take them and couldn't see what they were missing out on. And I did offer to take their holidays for them, and I take some more, but it didn't go down real well. So those 7 points, just go through them again.
Yes, so the 7 pillars of abundance are spirituality, fitness, emotions, romance, mental, social, and financial.
And with that, you have a balanced, beautiful, and abundant life. Fantastic. Absolutely. I love it. And we've covered a whole lot of things. If we're going to say these 3 main takeaways, what would you recommend the listeners to do? Those 3 things, if they take nothing else away.
The 3 things. Number 1 is to plan your day around your exercise.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Number 2, to have a morning practice to set your tone for the day. And number 3 is to find the joy in the day, not to get so ahead of yourself, worrying about the future. It's the simple things that give us joy in the day, whether that's petting a dog or hugging a child or watching your favorite show, eating a great meal. Find your joy in the day.
Yeah, that they're beautiful. Thank you for those. That is so important to have that joy. I have this little ritual I do when I'm at home during the day. If I'm at home at lunchtime, is I sit outside and I read a fiction book. So I read on the phone for at least 30 minutes, and I have my lunch and I read a part of the book. And it's a gift for me to make sure I go, hey, just stop for 30 minutes and enjoy your food, chew your food properly, but also just take the time out to get out of business, and just read fiction and go away, fantasize, So
that is a beautiful example of finding your joy in the day.
Yeah, it's very simple. How can people find you, Rebecca, and if they're interested in knowing more about it, and how can they work with you?
Yeah, so I have a website called RebeccaElizabethWhitman.com. I have a 7-week program called Elegant Warrior Training, where we go through one pillar a week over 7 weeks. And when you complete 7 weeks, you're balanced, beautiful, and abundant. And I have a podcast, which I'm so excited to have Janeen on soon, called The Balanced, Beautiful, Abundant Show. And if you're not sure which area of life is in or out of balance, I have a really fun and easy balance quiz. It's a 2 or 3 minute quiz. It gives you a quick snapshot of your life so you can see which of the 7 areas are working and which need more support, just so you can kind of assess your alignment.
Oh, that's great. And someone can just get in contact with you and just get that little test and see how they go?
It's on the website.
Okay, it's beautiful.
Whitman, yeah.
And that'll be on the podcast notes, so people will be able to find that. So thank you very much, Rebecca. I know we've done different time zones, different seasons, as I said right at the beginning, but it's lovely that you were able to join me on the We Are Women podcast for this conversation. Lots of great ideas.
Thank you so much, Janeen, for having me on your show. I really enjoyed our connection.
Most welcome. And that's another episode of the We Are Women podcast. I really thank you all for listening. And remember, you can go to my website, janeenvosper.com. If you're not sure about how things are going within your business, you might need a little bit of assistance. If I can't help you, then I have got this wide range of experts that I can put you in line with. So go on and book a strategy call. If you loved what you've heard on the podcast, please leave a 5-star review. It's always appreciated. And I look forward to you joining me and the next time on the We Are Women podcast. Bye for now.
So, do you feel stuck in a rut in business? Visit speechperfect.com.au and download Janeen's free ebook to avoid the 5 most common stumbling blocks women face in business. It's jam-packed, full of tips to overcome the barriers that could be holding you back from the success that you dream your business will be. We would love you to leave a review of today's episode and share this podcast with other women in need of entrepreneurial inspiration. Subscribe to the next episode now and join the We Are Women community.